My dad had a lot of great sayings growing up, and one of his favorites was, "It's not what I've done for you that's important, it's what I would have done for you." Now, we've all been there. We've gone out of our way for someone, done them favors, taken on their burdens, only to find out after the fact that these people really didn't seem to appreciate it. In life, we're going to encounter people who act like the world is here to cater to them, people who fail to reciprocate or return kind gestures. Their relationships and interactions always seem to be heavily skewed in their favor. Once we discover the true nature of a user, our first instinct is to confront them and remind them of all the good deeds that we've done on their behalf, as if they've forgotten. My advice, don't even bother. These people didn't overlook or forget your kindness. They felt entitled to it. This is how they operate. Most of these takers are just opportunists who use people's good nature, sense of generosity, and natural desire to get along with others against them. Unfortunately, once we discover that we've been taken advantage of or exploited, it's not possible for us to take back our kindness and goodwill. It's unlikely that this person is going to have some sort of an epiphany and suddenly appreciate us and our kind gestures. My father was an exceptionally kind and generous person. Yet I could see many of the people who benefited from his kindness didn't really seem to appreciate it. What was once a favor became an expectation. The generosity that he bestowed upon others was not appreciated, and it was rarely reciprocated. As a child, I thought, how does Dad not see this? It would upset me that others were taking advantage of my father. I noticed how certain people only seemed to be around when they needed something or when my dad could do something for them. I'm sure my father felt some sense of being let down or disappointed or underappreciated, but he never expressed it. Instead, he would always say, quote, "It's not what I've done for them that's important, it's what I would have done." And this seems like a fairly simple statement on its surface. I've spent a lot of time thinking about it and the wisdom that it contains. It's a statement that gains more depth the older that I get. Simply put, my father recognized that he couldn't take back his kind gestures or generosity, but what he could do was not make that same mistake twice, at least with that person. Users and takers are always on the hunt for generous people. After all, it's far easier to gain resources from generous people than it is from those who are guarded with their time, energy, or money. While my father's words carry a lot of wisdom, let's explore some ideas to preemptively identify these people in order to avoid being taken advantage of, or at the least, limit our exposure and losses. First, we need to recognize relationships that appear to be one-sided, or relationships that have contingencies, i.e. the expectation that you should be doing things for this person in order to stay in their good graces. Next, be careful with your generosity towards others. Understand that your resources are finite, and when you hand them out freely, you're signaling to the world that you don't really value them. When we sense that someone may be on the take, do not accept gifts or favors from them. Understand that their generosity has strings attached to it, and at some point, they're going to come and collect on it. And when they do, they're going to want much more in return than what they gave. Learn to say no. Have reasonable boundaries with people in your life. Don't agree to things that you're not comfortable with just to appease those around you. Oftentimes we do this because we're not comfortable or secure in the relationship. So our desire to be loved and accepted overshadows our own needs and boundaries. Don't tolerate being used because you're afraid of being rejected. As the old saying goes, it's better to be alone than in bad company. Don't take on the burdens of others as if they're your own. At the end of the day, we must all carry our own cross, as the saying goes. Expect others to be vested in handling their own problems and challenges. We can be loving and supportive, but do not do the work for them or shoulder their load. People gain the most insight and growth from navigating their own struggles. People tend to not grow or gain any insight when people around them are constantly picking up the pieces or bailing them out. Next, many people consciously or unconsciously find themselves trying to purchase the affections of others. The medium of exchange may be monetary, favors, promises, or even sex. If you find yourself in such a situation, I'd recommend stepping back and assessing yourself and the dynamics of that relationship. Identify guilt trips and other forms of manipulation that people use to try to get you to do what they want. Coercion leads to the manipulator getting their way, while the giver is usually harboring resentment. Don't justify or excuse someone's lack of gratitude or reciprocation. Don't ignore the fact that you're involved in a lopsided relationship. Once you're aware, then you are no longer a victim. You're a willing participant. Take ownership of your behavior and how you feel in your relationships. Make the necessary corrections, value yourself, and learn to speak up when someone's crossing the line. Finally, if you got something from this video, please take 2 seconds to hit the like button. It helps with the algorithms, and it helps to have YouTube sharing these types of videos. Anyways, in life and our relationships, we have limited influence over others. But we can control who we let into our lives and to what degree. Sometimes it's necessary to cut people off or limit our exposure to them. As soon as you speak up for yourself and learn to say no, as soon as you stop allowing others to take advantage, these users and takers will often fade out of our life and search for easier, more fruitful targets. Surround yourself with honest relationships, people who value you, people who seek fair and mutually beneficial exchanges. Even the best of us get taken advantage of from time to time. And when that happens, we need to learn from it and reinforce our boundaries. And we need to always remember the wise words of my father. It's not what I've done for you that's important. It's what I would have done. As always, new content drops every Wednesday, so please subscribe. And as always, let's get a discussion going in the comments section. Until next time, thank you for joining me.